Nude bowling. That's right. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they will bring back balls out bowling. So whether you're a seasoned pro or a beginner, make sure you check your clothes at the door, because we're about to finger holes. Now ladies, if you're not comfortable with the situation, they have you covered, as you are allowed to wear bottoms. Now of course, there are rules and guidelines, so let's go over them. Number 1, just because you're nude doesn't mean you're allowed to have sex. That's not what nude represents. Number 2, that doesn't mean consent either. Which goes along with number 3, harassment will not be tolerated, as everyone at the bowling alley is there for the simple pleasure of the game. Now one important thing to cover, this night is for 18 years and older. This is not a family or a league night, so make sure you cross off that date on your calendar and don't show up that night, or else you're going to have a lot of explaining to do to your kids when you get home, or right there at the bowling alley. Now tickets will only be sold online. They will not be sold at the door, and there will not be any scalpers around, so make sure you get ahead of the game. Now somebody's call me crazy, but I'm not sure if this is a good idea. This is like a nightclub having an 18 and over night and expecting somebody not to sneak in a drink. Let me know in the comments if you would show up to an all nude bowling night. Us humans used to have tails 25 million years ago, so what happened? How come we don't have them anymore? We have a tailbone, but no tail to attach. Well, leave it to us humans to evolve with time. And quite frankly, our body did not need them anymore, because we have limbs and appendages that keep us balanced. Now, on the other hand, in the womb, tails are created within us up until 8 weeks, and then the body refuses to continue to create it and just cuts it off right then and there. Now, for the longest time, scientists have been puzzled. Why does our body refuse the tails? Well, leave it to them to finally have an answer. So it turns out we have a jumping gene known as an ALU element. Now mix that in with a TBXT gene as well. You mesh them together and that creates the snipping of the tail. It's all about the genes. Hasn't it always been? So how are scientists so confident with this answer? Well, as always, they tested it on mice. They injected the mice with the ALU element gene, and guess what? The mice either had shortened tails or they just didn't grow at all. So here we go again, somebodies. We have to test it on other innocent animals. It's either mice or monkeys or apes. Either way. Now we have mice running around with no tail. They have no balance. Now somebodies, let me know. If you could, would you still want a tail? It's not for balance, so it's just for show. Maybe even a weapon. Let me know. If you want a tail, what would you use it for? A doctor was stuck in the bathroom in a tower. That's right, in the Queen's College rooms, 16th century, Dr. Christina Ilko went to use the bathroom in the tower. Well, it seems when she closed the door, she found out the door latch was broken. So therefore, she wasn't able to get out. Now this is a tower. This is a heavy wooden door with thin walls and no window. Now you may ask, how did the latch break? Well, it turns out there was a plumber up in the bathroom earlier. It turns out somehow he broke it. Now, Dr. Ilko didn't necessarily panic as she went about taking the shower head off and banging it against the door. Heck, she took a running start to the door with her shoulder. That didn't work either. And all the shouting for help was to no avail. Now, at this point, the doctor was trying to figure out, well, I may be here for a while, so how many days can I survive on just water? Now, once she composed herself, she took a moment, had a deep thought, and turned to one of her childhood TV shows, MacGyver. So in this situation, Dr. Ilko just went about asking, what would MacGyver do? Well, it turns out, Dr. Ilko grabbed an eyeliner and had cotton earbuds. She jammed the eyeliner down the latch and made a hook with the earbuds. And guess what, somebodies? After 7 hours of trying, she finally freed herself. Thank you, MacGyver. Now, once she escaped, she did end up repairing the latch. That way it doesn't happen again, not just to her, but to anybody else. A man arrested for turtle smuggling. In Florida, a man, John Katsulis, owned his own reptile business. Well, the Department of Justice claims that from 2015 to 2021, John illegally exported turtles. Thousands of turtles, not to mention protected species of reptiles. Now, how does one get away with such a thing? Well, it turns out John's company was able to ship the wildlife through the Miami International Airport, primarily to Germany and Hong Kong, where he was able to falsify documents claiming that these animals were captive bred instead of wild caught. Now John faces up to 50 years in prison. Now out of all the ways to make money, this is the wildest I've ever heard of product to export, as I'm sure John would have exported the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles along with the Geico Gecko to make a quick buck. Great white shark versus the killer whale. Who are you putting your money on? Well, it turns out, as badass as a great white shark is, the killer whale in this situation is the predator. A video has surfaced where you can see the killer whale straight swoop on that shark and made mincemeat out of it in 2 minutes. Now scientists are baffled by this solo attack, as killer whales usually hunt in packs. But for some reason, it seems killer whales are going rogue and on their own. And as you see in the video, scientists have confirmed that they definitely have the killer instinct, even more so when they're alone, which gets kinda scary. Now the one major key factor to think about is, with these attacks on the sharks, it will definitely shrink their population. Now I'm sure for some of us that hear the news that hey, there won't be as many sharks in the waters, that's not necessarily a bad thing. At the same time, now instead of sharks to fear in the water, you're gonna have to watch out for that killer whale. And I'll tell you what, you watch this video, you thought sharks were bad. Killer whales will turn you out with no remorse in under a minute, because we're just a snack to them. You better think about it, somebodies. We need the sharks as bait so they can run them off away from us. A teacher held a sword fight in her class. That's right, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, at Volcano Vista High School. A chemistry teacher told her students that she brought a surprise as she pulled out 2 swords. As she pulled them out, she instructed the students in pairs to grab the swords, wield them, and have a good time. Well, it turns out a good time is defined in many ways. But as we all know, once someone gets injured and starts bleeding out, well, guess what? The party is over. As a 16-year-old was heavily injured on his right arm and wrist. Consequences for the teacher? Well, 2 months later, she was fired. That's it. She just got fired. Now, the family of the 16-year-old decided to sue the school, the teacher, and the principal, which I'm sure is the bare minimum they could do. I'm just trying to figure out 2 months to fire the teacher after this happened. That's a hell of a teachers union right there. Teachers, let me know in the comments. How did this teacher get to continue working for 2 more months before getting fired? Employers want to know your personality before they consider you. 2 of them specifically, Olive Garden and FedEx. As a new applicant, you will be prompted to take a personality test. Now I'm sure some of you have taken these before and they weren't as involved. They just ask you questions about scenarios and you answer them as they try to weed out unruly applicants. But at the same time, the answers could be used against you. Now, as you answer the questions on this personality test, you are told there are no wrong answers. But at the same time, towards the end, in the results column, it'll let you know you have room to grow. So with these scenarios being reported more and more, people are finding them bizarre and quite frankly insulting. Heck, one applicant just wanted a dishwashing job at Olive Garden. Not to tell Olive Garden their life story. It seems nowadays the turnaround to hire is on average 44 days. So just remember this, somebodies. When you see a help wanted sign and you kinda need a job, be prepared to be judged, criticized, and not hired anyways. A lead singer dosing a band member with estrogen? That's right, lead vocalist Diego from the band Llorona had an evil plot to steal the bassist's fiance. Turns out Diego was dosing the bassist with estrogen to make him more feminine. And once this would happen, he would just swoop in and take the fiance. Simple as that. What a flawless plan, right? Well, no, because we live in reality, and guess what? The band decided to fire Diego. Well, no kidding. As it turns out, the bassist had to go to numerous hospital visits, which was costing thousands of dollars. Not only that, it got so bad that he needed to see an endocrinologist to track his hormonal fluctuation. Because it seems Diego did, in some sense, succeed, because the bassist was becoming a little more physically feminine. Look, somebodies, this is not the way to go. To try to steal someone's partner, and in this case, a fiance. Although I am very curious to know what the fiance looked like that someone would go to so much of a sinister plot to try to hook up with her. And you know that's all it was going to be, just a hookup. It wasn't going to be a relationship. Because we all know somebodies that having is much different than wanting. So for all you somebodies, let me know what kind of plotting you involved yourself in to take someone's mate, someone's partner. How low and shady did you go?